The Daredevil Season 1 finale stunned us by killing off one of Daredevil's most dangerous villains from the comics before he ever put on his costume. Most viewers probably don't even know who this was. Plus, the season finale hints at Matt and Fisk's deepest character flaws. We're breaking it down in this podcast. So, guys, first, let's reveal the villain you never noticed. Can you guess who I'm talking about?
I had no idea that he had a costume.
That's why I was kind of upset with this episode.
Oh, it would have been so hilarious to see it. Leland Owlsley, I mean, you can tell by his name, Owlsley, he is the Owl, which is a very deadly villain in the comic books, I guess kind of like the Riddler. So make the Riddler more of a murderous maniac. I think that's like this guy.
Like the Batman version of the Riddler.
Yeah. Like he never puts his costume on and then Fisk just shoves him down an elevator shaft. So there's no way he survived that fall, right?
We talked a little bit about this, and now that I've thought about it a little bit more, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But if we're going to be talking about the Leland death, let's go ahead and break it down. You know, they're going back and forth, and Fisk is like, no, I'd rather kill you instead. And then he punches him. Now, this is a 70-plus-year-old man.
It's because he tried to poison Vanessa at the gala.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead. We were talking about,
that Fisk is upset. Like, you tried to kill Vanessa. You tried to hurt her. And then he shoves her down shoves him down the elevator shaft.
Yeah. So talking about this whole Owl character, we talked a little bit about how, he said no, and then he punched him. Punched an old man, the same man who just kicked the crap out of Daredevil not 4 episodes ago, just punched a 75-year-old man. And what did he do? He fell back a little bit and then jumped up with a taser and is like, come on, and then fights back. And it's like, when I was watching it, I wasn't thinking of the superhero character. I was just thinking of this old man. And I'm just sitting there and it's like, how did he get up? Anybody that Fisk punches is down forever. These are like hardened criminals that, you saw him hit, his bodyguard. He punched that dude once and that guy went straight down. And then I'm supposed to believe that the 75-year-old man takes a punch from the kingpin and is like, let's go. And then he takes a few more and he's still standing. And then he gets thrown down 20 feet down a elevator shaft. And it was like, that was kind of weak.
Let me read you his abilities list from Wikipedia. Superhuman sight and hearing, enhanced strength, resiliency, resistance, reflexes and reactions, and endurance. Hollow bones. Natural razor-sharp fangs. I don't know how that's natural, but okay. And talons with attachment devices.
Okay.
Ability to guide short distances. I don't know what that means, but he could have survived that fall, according to...
It's very possible. Now that I think about it, that scene did bother me because that was a major character and he died off by going pew, 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 and that's it. It wasn't anything, the whole scene building up to it was great, but if we are truly killing off this character and he's not a part of the show anymore, he deserves a big death because he is that evil character that, of course, none of us want to see anybody die, but in fantasy, we want to see the bad guys die. So, that's what we wanted, and we maybe have gotten it. I'm not sure, but if we did get it, it was very underwhelming.
Yeah, I didn't get to see fangs, so I'm disappointed. But maybe, just looking at pictures, he looks like the Wolfman, so maybe they decided that villain didn't fit in this universe.
Now. He does look like the Wolfman.
But he's been around since 1964. He is a classic, historic Daredevil villain. I ran a poll on our YouTube page and I said, what villain do you most want to see in Born Again? And I believe the Owl was the winner.
Oh, yeah. So we've already seen him. But, that would be a nice little twist.
There is a theory out there. He does have a son, so the thought is maybe in the show, which now that there's been 3 seasons and Born Again Season 1, we know there's been no Owl. Maybe they'll pull him out later on, But it could be that his son becomes the owl, or, we've seen people we swore were dead and born again come back to life. So maybe they'll bring him back. But in general, when someone falls in a movie and hits their head and blood comes out like that in a big pool, that usually means you're dead. I can't think of a single movie where someone has survived something like that. That's usually filmed that way to tell the audience that person died. Am I wrong?
Yeah, but we learned in Born Again that when you take somebody's head and pile drive them into the ground and you hear that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So there's still a chance that this dude's going to get up and... Is it a suit he puts on, or does he just turn into an owl? Because that picture that I saw, it looks like he looks like that all the time. There's no way that you can hide who he is if that's the way he looked.
I think it would be hilarious to find out, but I'm afraid it would ruin the season he appears in.
Put that dude in an owl suit and let's see what he looks like.
Well, I mean, it's just the hair,
I can't see this guy looking anything like that, though. So when I'm picturing an owl suit, it's like he's putting on a...
Well, I forgot about the son. So, yeah, he did mention, me and my son were getting out of here and everything. So, yeah, the son very well could come back.
I'm looking at a picture here. He looks like Ra's al Ghul. I see claws that look like Wolverine's claws and hair that looks exactly like Wolverine's hair. So that is the weirdest villain, and he's wearing a Ra's al Ghul green like vampire.
I'm looking at the same one you are. But I see another picture of him where he's got claws, his fingernails too.
He seriously just looks like Wolverine with red hair and that funny cape.
Green cape. Yeah.
So, I mean, they're both Marvel characters, so.
But you can change the hair. I mean, look at Green Goblin. Yeah. That guy was an actual goblin in the comic books. He turned into a goblin, but they just went with the helmet. So, they can do that. But yeah, at the same point, he does look kind of young here. So it very well could be Leland's son because, if he's 75, his son's probably, at least in his 30s or 40s by now, you'd think.
Yeah, Leland's hair's too gray to be the owl. Well, guys, let's move on to some character psychology. Matt Murdock had an interesting psychological struggle throughout the series, and Father Lantom tried to help him with this earlier in the season. Matt had this problem with taking blame for other people's poor decisions. Like if Fisk killed somebody, Matt thought it was his fault. Well, here we are in the final episode of the season, and he still thinks that Ben died because he hasn't stopped Fisk yet. He's blaming himself for Ben's death, and so is Karen, because Karen kind of tricked Ben to going to see Fisk's mom in the nursing home. I don't know. I mean, are either of these characters really to blame, Matt or Karen? What do you think?
Yeah, he was murdered.
That's Fisk's decision, right?
Yeah, and like Ben's wife Doris said, he's a reporter. This is what he did. So, even if Karen hadn't pushed him as much, he would have gotten to that point at some point. Because he was already looking at that. He just happened to get help. So, if he hadn't had the help from Karen, well, it may add 6 months to it, but he would still come to the same conclusion and try to do the same thing. So I don't think anyone can blame themselves for that except for Fisk.
If somebody else decides to murder, that's not your fault. I could see Karen feeling a little guilty, though, because she did trick Ben into doing something that he thought was too dangerous to be doing. Mm-hmm. I mean, it gave them a lead, but was it worth it? It did cost a life. So I could see her feeling a little guilty there, but still, at the end of the day, if somebody murders somebody, that's really kind of on them.
Yeah, I mean, and his wife even said, he doesn't do anything that he didn't want to do. So, you shouldn't have that guilt.
Yeah, Ben strikes me as somebody who's kind of they say a musician's going to die on the stage or a football player's going to die on the field. That's kind of what Ben was. He's going to die playing detective.
Doing what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And Doris even said that at the funeral, he was a reporter and he died being a reporter or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was interested to see how Matt carried his anger or grief over Ben into his fight with Fisk, but he really seemed pretty controlled. Like he never looked like he was going to kill Fisk. It seemed like he came to terms with that before this final confrontation. What did you think?
Yeah, that was kind of the final boss fight. And, when you're in the final boss fight, you got to do everything right. You can't cheat. You can't be the bad guy. You got to do everything honorably, whether it be a video game or in real life. So, that's, he, like you said, he's been struggling the entire season with, should I kill? Should I kill? Should I kill? And I think, especially with him getting back together with his crew, he's got his support group again. He's got friends. He's got love in his life again. So he knows, okay, love's more powerful than hate. So I've got what I need in my life. I don't need to kill. We just need to do what we set out to do 5 years ago when we started law school.
Yeah, maybe he struggled with that stuff more when he was kind of on his own, because now that he's got Karen and Foggy both back, but they're on his side. Yeah. So we see Matt decide who he's going to be, what kind of hero he's going to be. And we also see Fisk decide who he's going to be. He really does seem to embrace the dark side because he gets arrested and then he's telling the Good Samaritan story to the guard, which I thought was pretty fascinating because this show is always playing with biblical themes and putting a twist on them. Well, there is a twist in that story. Now, he says in the parable of the Good Samaritan, there were these two guys who walked by a guy who was dying in a ditch, and they didn't help him. And then the third guy is a Samaritan, and he goes and helps that guy, saves his life. He always thought that he was the Samaritan, the hero of the story. But it turns out that he was the ill intent, the guy who beat the guy up in the first place and put him within an inch of his life in the ditch. But there is something that enhances the show in that story. When Jesus told that parable, the end, the fact that the Samaritan is the hero, that's a twist. Like he's talking to people who hated Samaritans. So at the end, when they reveal like the Samaritan, the person you hate is the hero, that's a big twist. And they almost did the opposite here. Like Fisk thinks he's a hero the whole time, but he turns out to be the one everyone hates. He's the villain. So it's almost like they played with that a little bit. And then he breaks out of this escort to prison. So I thought that was cool because he's telling the story to show you that he's embracing like he's all bad now. There's not going to be any more struggle. Like now I'm dangerous. But I saw that come out in their final confrontation too. One of the most interesting things that I could not forget when Born Again came out and he's running for New York mayor and he's saying things like, I love New York. And like, you can see how hard it is for him to say that. At the end of, he's fighting Daredevil and he finally says, this city doesn't deserve to be saved. It deserves to drown in its own filth. And I'm like, why did he turn on the city? Or was this always who he was? Did he just turn on them because he finally got caught for being a villain?
No, I think that's how he always felt. He's just a power grab guy. I have the power. I can do what I want to do. I can, all that stuff. He never had the intentions of saving the city. That's not what
he always said he did, though.
That's what he says because that gets him support. He's a bad dude, and he's from the get-go. And so, in season 1, he's laundering money and he's trying to take over New York. And so he has to say certain things so it doesn't look suspicious. He gets caught. He goes to prison. And then in the season 1, he's out. So it's like, I still want this power. What do I got to do? Oh, I know. I'll say I'm saving the city of New York, and he becomes mayor. And well, now I can do whatever I want to do. And I can pretend on the front that I'm doing this when I'm Kingpin. I'm doing this. So yeah, his true colors come out.
It's possible. That's definitely one way. Another way to look at it, I mean, this guy obviously has mental issues.
Oh yeah.
And again, and it parallels very well to what, again, both sides do today. This is the way it should be. And people keep pushing back on him. He's like, no, I'm right. You're wrong. I think another way to look at it is he does want to help the city, but all he knows is crime. So he's going to do the crime to help the city. But then everyone keeps pushing back like, no, you're doing it wrong. No, I don't believe that. No, I don't. want to do it the way you're doing it. And every time he gets pushback on that, he just gets a little bit more and more upset, finally to the breaking point in the fight where he's just like, fine, if you guys don't want me to help you, if you don't want me to make this the greatest city in the world, then burn, die. I don't care.
Yeah.
He
I
finally
never
just,
liked you anyway.
yeah.
He does have the immaturity factor going on. If you notice that, though,
yeah, it's
he
kind of
becomes
that.
a child. Yeah.
it is. It's very much like just a child emotions when he's not getting what he wants.
That's why he's scary.
That's
Because
my
he's like a
mother.
huge 400-pound child that could bench press 500 pounds. That's what's terrifying.
Yeah, I want this. I can't have it. Well, then I'm going to throw a fit, which usually means somebody's head's getting slammed in a door or something.
Yeah. Or thrown into an elevator shaft.
One big issue I have is the continuity of what's happened in his life during this season and then to Daredevil, because he is mayor, spoiler alert, in Daredevil Born Again. He literally escaped police custody with a riot squad killing police officers. How did he get out? How did he get out from that? I don't know. Do they actually explain that in Echo and season 3 or anything else that Fisk was in? I mean, they didn't say anything about that in Hawkeye that I remember.
How did he get out of the police truck?
No. How is he innocent? He's mayor of New York City, but 10 years ago he escaped police custody by killing police officers with a hit squad that he hired to help him escape.
Yeah, how did he come back from this?
Yeah, I mean, they had live footage of it, and he stood there in the back of the truck with his hands on, like a villain, like, look at me, live newscast.
He walks like his coming out party when he gets out.
How did, please, comments. I keep forgetting we have comments. Put down in the comments if I missed something with the Echo season, or if I missed somewhere else that people explain this. Because if I hire people to kill somebody, I'm never going to be mayor of a city.
Probably never getting out of prison.
It'd be a while. I mean, yeah. So yeah, it's just like, how did he get out of that?
Yeah. Maybe it's in season 3. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it does seem unrealistic that he ever sees the light of day again.
Right?
After that.
Yeah. That's the only thing that bugged me, because I don't remember season 3 very well. I'm not sure if I even watched all season 3, to tell you the truth, but I didn't watch Echo. I know he was in that. And like I said, they didn't say anything in Hawkeye to my knowledge. So somebody tell me why Fisk is out.
Maybe it's just a gimme that you have to give it,
I don't know, man. Marvel does, I mean, they've struggled a little bit, but we're talking, the Daredevil series they've done well with, and they've done some amazing stories with it. They could have figured something out with that.
Yeah.
I don't like, we don't know how to explain this, so he's out.
Maybe they just really wanted to spoof
it's like
Mayor
Penguin
from the Batman 66 TV series, because I don't know how DC hasn't sued them, because Penguin is a mob boss, and he was mayor in the 60s. He was a mayor in Batman Returns, and now we have Mayor Fisk in Born Again. Of course, that's in a later show, but it's interesting to see how
even DC had a bald guy who ran for president.
Lex Luthor.
Yeah. Bald villains in the comics books always want to be. Yeah. So they did that too.
Well, there is something I've got to hand it to the show, because in another show, I would be laughing my head off when Fisk proposes to Vanessa while being arrested. But man, like the way they did that, they sell it. I mean, it's ridiculous when you think about it logically, but it's pretty well done on screen. I think if she says yes, she's a nut job, but
she is a nut job.
Well, yeah, but like you don't know how crazy she is yet until how evil she is.
She knows what's going on, and she's sticking around.
Yes.
So
yes,
there's power hunger in there somewhere.
Yeah, I got to give the show props for that. I can't go without mentioning this is the first time we ever saw the real Daredevil suit. So what
Yes.
did you think?
That's true.
It was cool.
I've seen it before.
But yeah, you're waiting for it to show up. It looks a lot better than the Zorro outfit he was wearing.
Zorro.
I just, I wish, I don't know, maybe they're trying to keep comic book. I know it's, it's just me. You know, I mean, he was sitting 3 feet away from the detective that he rescued, and he's covered from here up. You know,
How do you not know it's him?
He's not
disguising his voice
or anything like that. I mean, he's still got his Brooklyn accent or whatever. You know, it's just like wearing sunglasses, pretty much. You know, and a baseball hat.
That's the one thing that always bothers me about this too, is when they show down. Like, how do you not know that?
At least Batman talks like this.
His voice around. But like, how do you not know Superman is Clark Kent?
Yeah,
because he puts glasses on.
That's the worst one,
right? And with with this, right? But with this one, you're right. He still has a stubble. He looks the same. He's got beat up marks. So like, someone sees him the next day, is like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, but again, this goes back to what you told me. There's times where when you watch these kind of shows, you just have to suspend your belief on certain things.
And it doesn't ruin it for me by any means. I don't, I'm not that guy. But yeah, it just every once in a while it pops up in my head again.
Now, in the MCU, these guys aren't necessarily up to keeping their identity secret, though, right? Because everybody knows Tony Stark is Iron Man.
Right.
Well, Matt Murdock's still trying to at this point.
Right, but for the most part, people know who Captain America is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? They know who their real names are. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I guess I know why he's trying to keep it a secret, because it could cause some problems later down the road, but...
Well, he's not a superhero, remember? He's a vigilante.
He's a vigilante right now, so yeah, he has to keep that under wraps.
I don't understand. He's doing the exact same thing Spider-Man's doing.
Right. Do people know that Spider-Man is Peter Parker?
Depends on which movie you're watching.
Yeah, they did at one point. Well, I mean, there's all kinds of comic books. I mean, there in one of the Civil War comics, the whole Sokovia Accords was all about transparency. So Tony Stark talked Peter into revealing himself.
And Matt Murdock gets outed by Karen in the comics, so they're doing something totally different here with that character. But
all right.
Well, I gotta say, the costume reveal was interesting to me. It was cool to see, and it gets better as the seasons progress. But you can tell that he can't move as well in it. So I do kind of miss just the all black, but yeah, you're going to get hurt wearing that. I mean, you've got to put some armor on realistically. So I guess it's a trade-off, but when you're watching it, it's cooler to see him fight in the black suit because he can move much better. Mm-hmm. They'll tweak that with CGI later on, which I have mixed feelings about. But as we wrap up this season, and I think the big theme was they were trying to show Matt Murdock's inner turmoil. Is he going to become a devil, a daredevil, or is he going to be a guardian angel? And at the end, he pretty much decides, he's siding with good. He's going to be that guardian angel, but he's dressed as the devil. I think that's a really interesting contrast.
Yeah, I mean, it fits with Hell's Kitchen, so.
Yeah.
But
Fisk, I mean, they put him through a similar struggle where he seemed to be deciding, is he going to come out the other side? I mean, we knew he was going to be a villain, but internally, he was having an identity crisis. And Gao did confront him about that a few episodes ago and say, look, you are torn. You need to be the villain or you need to be the hero. You cannot be both, basically. And so we finally saw that in this episode. And they, again, used a biblical story to solidify that. So I thought that was pretty cool. The whole thing is about kind of an identity faith struggle. And you see both characters. I don't know if you'd say Fisk did good things in this, but Matt did a mix of good and bad things in his journey. He made mistakes. But yeah, the best I can say for Fisk is we saw that he has the capacity to love, but he is also pretty terrifying and probably emotionally stunted. Like, I felt bad for him as we watched this because it seemed like his mom like kept him from getting the help that he needed after seeing his dad beat her all the time and then killing his dad. Like his mom like denied him counseling basically, because I assume by covering up the body and dropping it in the river, pieces of it at a time, that he just never, I mean, he was kind of set up to fail, but then you saw as the season progressed, he still had a choice about which way it was going to go. And then he finally made his choice. So I don't know, man. It was a deep series. I enjoyed it and I can't wait to dive into more. So you both have seen this and Born Again season 1. Doug, I believe you've seen season 2. Where do you rank season 1?
It's the best. But I'm an origin story kind of guy. You know, Captain America, Civil War, and Winter Soldier were probably better movies, but the first Avenger is still my favorite Captain America movie. You know, I love getting to that point of your life. You know, it's him starting off as this dude wearing black everywhere, and now he's got his costume and he's got his name, and he's, you know, now we can get into the meat of the story.
You like the journey and the transformation and the fight to get there.
Yeah, because there's always good stories in that. You continue on, and it's harder to find those deep stories where you struggle with something, everything like you are when you're struggling to find yourself. And to watch him, you know, grow into, you know, am I a person that kills? What do I, you know, how do I handle situations? Do I tell my friends? Do I not tell my friends? Who do I lie to? You know, all this stuff. But by, you know, season 2, now he knows what he needs to do, and now you can continue telling the story, but I always like the beginnings personally.
Mm-hmm. Drew, I think I know what your answer is going to be.
Which season did I so far enjoy the most?
Yeah.
1. 1. Well, see, the problem with this is I had seen up to 1, but then I watched Born Again, and I finished Born Again before I finished season 1. So it's been really confusing. But when you're not aware of what happened on all the stuff in the first season, the new season can be a little, it's you know, it's a little off. It's like, well, I don't, you know, like, why is this guy out of prison? Like, if he was the bad guy in 1, and I'm sure that they finished that up, or who is this guy, or what happened to this person? It does get a little confusing. So maybe had I watched all of 1 first, or even 2 and 3, then Born Again would have been a little bit more for me.
I remember when I watched them at the time, I loved season 1 through 3, but I loved season 2. I don't know why. It's the least popular out of all 4 seasons, but it's still got good reviews, and
it's a solid season. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
And now, watching Born Again, I would say it's more soap opera-y, it's more shock and awe, it's more tabloid. So it's apples and oranges, it's different, but man, no line is wasted in season 1. Like, every line means something. It's a slower pace. I thought it was brilliant. So to watch it again, I'm like, man, maybe I underestimated season 1. I knew it was solid, but man, it is pretty genius. So I think we're gonna hit season 2.
If you want us to do season 2, we need to get 100 likes.
And I think we're sticking with superheroes for a while. So we will see you all soon.